All right, so Barrett, last time we got together, we were talking about life insurance. And what we did last time was solidify the fact that you need about $1 million of coverage. And last time you liked the variable universal life policy.
Yeah.
That was what resonated the most with you. Now, just to make sure that you understand it, because it is a new concept, could you explain it to me as if I was a fifth grader?
I think you put money into it. Some of it like pays for insurance, and some of it gets invested.
Yeah. So the overarching concept, that's correct. So here, let me do a little drawing for you. And this does a great job of explaining how a variable universal life policy works.
Okay.
So what you do, you have these premiums that you have to pay, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now the premiums, the way that they're structured, so there's a minimum amount that we have to pay, and that's stipulated by AXA. For the $1 million of coverage, the absolute minimum is what AXA says, correct? So that's like when we run our illustrations for $1 million, we solve what the lowest premium is. That's what AXA is telling us what to pay. Now on the other end of the scale, because of the way that the life insurance policy developed, there actually is a tax-free component of the policy, where the money that you put in, all of it is taken out tax-free. Now, because of this back in the 80s, a lot of politicians started to realize, hey, these policies are great for us, but working for the IRS, we're not making any money. So back in 1985, they closed the loophole, but not before taking out massive life insurance policies on themselves, where they were paying for $10,000 of a death benefit, but pump in like $100,000 to $1 million into these policies for that tax-free benefit. So what the government did is they set a cap by the IRS, saying this is for this level of coverage, this is the absolute most money that you can put into a policy. So what we see people do is they're either on this end of the spectrum, where they're using this for more of an investment play or a tax play. But we're talking about today, because it's just simply we need the coverage. We're not really using this for a tax play. We're going to be down here. We're going to be looking at what is the absolute least amount of money that we can put into this policy to keep it enforced. Mm-hmm. Does that resonate with what we talked about last time?
Yes.
Perfect. So back to the premiums and how that works. So you have your money. The way that this gets invested is it actually gets put directly into an investment account, very similar to something like in your 401k, where we have access to about 85 different money managers, really like some of the top money managers. So what we'll do is we'll diversify into some large cap, we'll do some mid cap, we'll do some small, we'll do some international funds, just for international exposure, and then most likely some bonds as well in there to make a very well diversified portfolio. Now, every single month, the way that these policies work, and the reason why that you have a flexible premium structure in these universal type of life insurance policies, is your premium actually doesn't pay for the insurance. The insurance comes out of this cash value that gets developed. And what it does is, it all goes in, once a month, it gets taken out of that cash value. And that's how you pay for the cost of insurance. And that's why when times are going good, the cash value grows up a lot. We don't actually need to continue making premium payments to keep this policy in force. I know I just went over a lot. What questions do you have?
None so far.
Great. So you put this money in, pays for the insurance, but you still have that cash value. Now the way that it works, in terms of pulling it out, there's a bucket essentially at the end of this. And this bucket is that cash reserve. And it keeps on growing and growing as the policy gets healthier and healthier and the market starts to do well. That cash value begins to go up. And then we're able to access some of that money. So say that we need a big car payment, need to replace a fridge, something like that, and you know what, I got these taxable assets, I'd really not like to pay those taxes on them. We have access to the money in here, which is all tax-free, which is a huge benefit to a lot of individuals. The only con to this type of structure, there is a surrender period. So there is a portion of time where you aren't able to access all of the money. But that being said, you are able to access some of it. So that's the big pro here is the tax-free. The big con is there's a surrender. So typically speaking, depending on how we design the policy, we can make it shorter or longer. About 10 years is pretty standard. So Barrett, what questions do you have over how the variable universal life policy works?
None.
Great.
You explained it awesome.
Here's the illustration.
Cool. Ooh.